Welcome to Her AI Story. I'm Ailey. Today, we're diving into a big question. Can AI really be your therapist? This is not as silly as it sounds. AI-powered therapy is changing the way we approach mental health, and in this podcast, we will break it all down for you. From chatbots like Wobot to future predictions for AI-driven therapy, we're asking, can AI truly help you heal? Let's jump right in.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're diving into AI and mental health support today. You've sent in a really fascinating mix of articles and research, even a company website, so clearly you're interested in this, and to be honest, me too.
Yeah. I mean, it's not often that you see cutting-edge tech wading into something like mental health, something so human, you know?
It's like we're stepping into an episode of Black Mirror, but it's real life.
Yeah.
So before we get into the details, can you give us the overview? What's the big promise of AI and mental health, and what should we be paying attention to?
Well, imagine a world where getting mental health support is like, I don't know, as easy as just picking up your phone. That's the dream, right? These AI-powered apps and platforms promise on-demand counseling, and you can get personalized exercises and even early detection of potential issues, all with, like, algorithms, you know? And while that sounds really amazing, it also makes you wonder, can AI really understand just how complex the human mind is?
That's what I'm so curious about. Like, on the one hand, I'm reading about platforms like Wysa. It's this AI-powered chatbot, and it's already had over 500 million conversations, can you believe it? And with users in 95 countries. Those are huge numbers, and it really shows that there's a real need for accessible mental health support.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have experts like Dr. Hebert, who wrote this piece for Psychology Today in Australia, and he's questioning whether AI can ever really get to that same level of empathy and understanding that you get from a, human therapist.
The million-dollar question, right. And Dr. Hebert, he makes a really good point. He's arguing that AI, it all comes down to data and patterns at its core. It learns from old information to predict, future outcomes. But human emotions, they're messy and they're contradictory, and a lot of times they don't even make sense. Dr. Hebert actually shared this really sad story. It was about a father who's a migrant, and he was struggling after this traumatic experience, and it highlights how personal and chaotic human suffering can be. It makes you wonder if an algorithm could even grasp that.
That's a great point. It's easy to get really excited about what AI could do, but we have to remember the human element is at the center of all of this. Speaking of keeping things from going off the rails, you mentioned algorithms. How do we make sure that all these AI systems are, built ethically?
Yeah.
Especially with something like mental health data, which is so sensitive.
Yeah, and that's where organizations like the IE come in.
Now, for those of us who aren't, tech experts, remind us, what does the IE do again?
Right. So the IE, it stands for the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and they're a global organization. They set standards for all kinds of tech, and that includes AI. They're kind of like the, the rule makers. They're making sure things are built safely and ethically.
So when we're talking about AI in mental health, what are some of the rules or guidelines that they're, focusing on?
One of the big ones is data privacy, because think about it. You're sharing really personal stuff when you're using any kind of AI mental health tool, right? And the IEE is working on those standards that make sure that data is protected, it's encrypted, and it's not being used for anything other than what it's supposed to be used for.
Okay, that does make me feel a little bit better, knowing that there are people who are experts who are thinking about this stuff. But putting data privacy aside for a second, what about the potential for bias in these systems? Because if an AI is trained on a data set that doesn't really show the diversity of human experience, isn't that a problem?
Oh, absolutely, it would be. And it's definitely something that researchers and developers are thinking about a lot. Remember how Dr. Hebert was talking about AI and how it relies on patterns? Well, if those patterns are using biased data, like say the AI is mostly trained on data from a certain demographic, it could lead to a wrong diagnosis or treatments that aren't effective for people from different backgrounds.
It's like that saying, garbage in, garbage out.
It really is, yeah. And that's why, having these open conversations, talking about the things that could go wrong, that's just as important as getting excited about the good stuff, right? It's like anytime you build something, any tool, you have to think about how someone could use it the wrong way or what could happen that you didn't expect.
It's like giving everyone a chainsaw
Mm.
and not teaching them how to use it without cutting their leg off. It's a really useful tool, but Could be super dangerous if you don't know what you're doing or you don't have the right safety stuff.
Exactly. And that's even more true when we're talking about AI, which is so powerful, you
Yeah.
know? And that makes me think about another important question, which is how do you regulate something that's changing so fast?
It's true. It seems like every day there's a new AI this or a new AI that, and it's hitting the market immediately. So how can regulators keep up with that?
It's a big challenge, I have to admit. And the truth is that regulation, um, it usually moves slower than the tech does. But there are people working on this. There are initiatives. So, for example, the IEE, they actually have a specific standard, and it's all about making sure that digital services, and that includes AI, are designed appropriately for different age groups, for kids, teenagers, adults.
That's interesting because, we're talking about AI being used to support everyone's mental health, but when you think about it, AI could really have a big impact on kids especially, don't you think? I mean, they're growing up surrounded by technology in a way that we never did.
Totally. And because their brains are still developing, they're more likely to experience, both the good and the bad that can come from AI. This IE standard, it really emphasizes things like protecting children's data, making sure that it's transparent, how the algorithms work, like people can understand them, and making sure that these tools are actually being used in a way that supports kids and helps them.
It's like we're figuring out the rules as we go, which is kind of a big responsibility, not just for, the people who make the technology and the policymakers, but for everyone, I think. And it reminds me of something else Dr. Hebert said in his article. He said that we should think of AI as a way to add to human connection, to make it better, not to get rid of humans altogether.
Yeah, he's definitely right about that. It's true that AI can provide support 24/7, and it can give people personalized exercises and even use data to see if there might be a problem, but it can't be the only thing, right? It can't replace that human connection, which is so important when it comes to healing and growing. I mean, there's something special about going to a therapist. There's this understanding you share and this space where you feel comfortable being vulnerable, and the therapist can really empathize with you. I'm not sure AI can ever do that in the same way.
It makes me wonder what's going to happen to human therapists. I mean, are we going to put them out of a job?
I get that question a lot, actually. But what if, instead of replacing them, we thought about this as a chance to change what a therapist's job even is? Like, imagine if AI could do the routine check-ins and provide some basic therapeutic tools and exercises, and then use data to identify any potential issues and, flag them.
So it would be kind of like an AI assistant. Like
Yeah.
it takes care of all the more administrative stuff, the preliminary things, so that human therapists can focus on the cases where people really need their expertise. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, exactly. It's about each side using their strengths. Like AI is great at looking at tons of data, seeing patterns, and making suggestions that are personalized. But humans were really good at the emotional stuff, like understanding those complex emotions, building relationships, and just being there for someone, being human, which is so important when it comes to healing.
It's like that saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
Mm.
Maybe it takes a village, like a team of humans and AI working together to really address the mental health problems that are out there. A village of humans and algorithms. That's an interesting way to put it. It's really hitting me now that this isn't like some far-off thing. AI and mental health, it's happening right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's already here. And I think the more we talk about it, the more prepared we are to deal with it, to make good decisions about it.
So where do we go from here? Like, what are some of the exciting new developments or breakthroughs, in research or technology that could really change the game when it comes to AI and mental health?
Well, one thing that's got researchers really excited is something called effective computing.
Effective computing. Okay, that sounds kind of intimidating. What is that?
So basically, it's about teaching AI to understand and interpret human emotions, like how we feel. Think about it this way. Right now, AI is pretty good at understanding the words we say, like the literal meaning. But effective computing wants to take it a step further. It wants to help AI figure out how we say it.
Oh, okay. So like it's picking up on all those little cues that we use, like our tone of voice, facial expressions, maybe even body language, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff that sometimes says more than words ever could.
Exactly. I mean, those nonverbal cues, they tell us so much about how someone is feeling. Imagine like an AI therapist that could actually notice a little tremble in someone's voice, like they're trying not to cry or if they have a fake smile because they're actually really sad.
Wow, that's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. It's like you're giving AI like emotional intelligence, right? That could completely change how we think about using AI to give people support that's really tailored to them.
It would definitely add a whole other level, right, to how we connect with AI. And it would also force us to think about some really interesting questions, like philosophical questions. For example, how do we even define AI's emotional intelligence? Can we measure it? And can a machine ever really get what it's like to feel human emotions? Or is it just really good at, pretending to empathize?
Those are some deep questions for sure. It's like we're talking about something straight out of science fiction, but it's becoming more and more real every day.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this whole area so fascinating. It's this constant back and forth between what we can do with technology and what it means to be human.
It's like we're standing at the edge of something brand new. Like we have no idea what's out there, but it could be amazing or it could be, we have to be careful. And I feel like we've only just started to figure out what AI is capable of when it comes to mental health.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. But the important thing is that we're having these conversations now. We're thinking about all the different possibilities, the good and the bad, and we're trying to figure this out together carefully.
That's a good point. So as we wrap up this deep dive, is there one big thing you want to leave our listeners with? Something for them to keep thinking about as they, learn more about this really interesting and complex topic?
I think the biggest takeaway here is this AI in mental health. It's not about getting rid of human connection, right? It's about finding new ways to help people who are struggling, to give them the specific support they need and to give them the power to take care of their own mental well-being. The future of mental health care isn't about choosing between humans or AI. It's about figuring out how to make them work together in a way that helps everyone.
I love that. It's about using technology to make human connection even stronger, not to replace it, so that everyone has the mental health support they need. Well, that was an amazing conversation. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been really eye-opening.
Hey, well that certainly gave us a lot to think about. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like and subscribe for more. And drop a comment below. Let's chat.